Hey, all you minties, this is the Uncanny Omar from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions, and join me today for your advanced look at the Young Avengers by Heinberg and Cheung Omnibus from Marvel Comics. So let's get this party started. Before getting started, I do want to give a huge thank you to David Gabriel and the fine folks at Marvel for sending us an advanced copy of this omnibus. This omnibus is due out in the direct market and book market on October 18th. And speaking of direct market and book market, standard editions, this here is your standard edition cover. And I know that when I announced the book, there was another cover, but this is the standard edition cover. On the left-hand side is your direct market cover. And of course, both of them supplied by Jim Cheung, who was the main artist on both the original Young Avengers and the Young Avengers Children's Crusade, which are both collected in here. Now, to go ahead and answer the question as to what is this, and wasn't there already a Young Avengers Omnibus? That is right, there was a Young Avengers Omnibus. This one here to the right, which is significantly thinner than this one. This is the original Young Avengers, the ones that kicked off this particular team, all the way back in 2005. And this is the Kieran Gillen run. So this actually happens after everything in here. But to kind of give you an idea of the size difference, there you go. And yes, Jim Cheung does supply this cover. I just love his artwork. He doesn't really do anything internally. But let's go back to this. So here we have Heinberg and Cheung. And here are our characters of Wiccan, Patriot, and Hulkling, Stature, Hawkeye, and is that Vision? Who exactly is that? I'll explain when all of this takes place and who these characters are. Maybe some minor spoilers as far as like one or two characters, but nothing huge, I promise. Here's what the spine looks like with the entire team down there, drawn by Jim Cheung. I keep calling him Jimmy Cheung, and that's just what I've known him as for the last 20 plus years. Here's Young Avengers Assemble. Most of the covers that are all collected in here. This is a big book. And it got bigger when I suggested adding something, so I'm glad they did. These books right here. I'll explain what those are here in a second. The book retails for $125. Now, the direct market and the standard edition are identical underneath the dust jacket. Everything else in here is the same. But there's this glorious image that I have to share that's underneath the dust jacket with that red tone. Oh, that looks so awesome. Jim Cheung, he's just one of the best. All right, we're going to crack this open, talk about when all of this takes place, talk about some of the stories in here, check out the artwork, see what's collected, and of course, check out the binding. All right, let's go ahead and open this book up. We have some black end paper there, and Young Avengers by Heinberg and Cheung with the classic lineup. Here is your table of contents right here. Young Avengers by Heinberg and Cheung. Of course, Alan Heinberg, coming from the world of television and movies. As a matter of fact, he's one of the showrunners on Sandman on Netflix, if you've seen it. And this is pretty much, he wrote all 12 issues and the special of the original Young Avengers, and then came back for Children's Crusade, which I've always considered kind of like a follow-up to House of M, more than just a follow-up to Young Avengers. And then we have the Civil War Young Avengers Presents, the Secret Invasion Young Avengers, Uncanny Omar talked pretty one day, did I say singing Avengers? Secret Invasion Young Avengers, and that's with Runaways as well as the Civil Wars with Runaways. And then Dark Reign Young Avengers, Siege One Shot, Uncanny 526, and then the Children's Crusade. So this does collect the original issues 1 through 12 of Young Avengers, the special Civil War Young Avengers and Runaways 1 through 4, Young Avengers Presents 1 through 6, Secret Wars Runaways Young Avengers 1 through 3, Dark Reign Young Avengers 1 through 5, Siege One Shot of Young Avengers, and Avengers Children's Crusade 1 through 9. Also contains the Avengers, what is it? It's Avengers, the Children's Crusade Young Avengers One Shot. There's a director's cut back here, and also the material from Uncanny X-Men 526. So how did all of this begin? Well, it all started with Avengers Disassembled. As some of you all know that particular story, I'm not going to go into details about it in case you haven't read it, but that is the beginning of the Brian Michael Bendis era of Avengers. where he pretty much takes the existing team, blows up everything, literally, and out of the ashes comes the new Avengers. So this takes place after the finale, after Avengers finale, and before New Avengers #1. So it features Jessica Jones, along with Captain America and Iron Man, who are going around investigating a group of 4 young characters that are going around posing as superheroes. And that's when we meet Iron Lad, Patriot, Hulkling, and Wiccan. And these 4 mysterious characters are the beginning of the Young Avengers. So we meet her in the first issue, but that's not the only Young Avengers. Now, this is the only part that I'm going to be talking about spoilers for one character, because every one of these characters has their own mysterious background to them, what makes them who they are. One of them in particular, that's not on the dust jacket, and that is the character of Iron Lad. So I do have to talk a little bit about him. So in case you don't want to know anything about these characters or these particular stories, maybe put me on mute. I'll come back with a non-spoilery part. I'll let you know in the description of the video. But for right now, minor spoilers for at least the character of Iron Lad. Alright, so at the very end of the first issue, so this isn't that big of a spoiler, we learn that Iron Lad is actually a character named Kang, the Conqueror, or a character that will become Kang, a character that will become Immortus, Ramatut, all these Kang identities. Oh my gosh, he's such a complex character, but I love him. Now, he is posing as Iron Lad to hide from his future self, and that's when all crap hits the fan, when the future self comes back looking for this young man. And he does have ties to Vision, and that's why later on you'll see a younger Vision, because during this time, like I said, Avengers Disassemble, Vision was, how do I put this, out of commission. So these 4 characters are joined by these 2 ladies right here. This is Cassie Lang, who is the daughter of Scott Lang, who is also during this time out of commission because of the things that happen in Avengers Disassemble, and Kate Bishop. Together, the 6 of them will become the Young Avengers because they have to team up to fight against Kang the Conqueror. And of course, also, it's not just Kang the Conqueror, it's a bunch of other little villains, but they have to prove to themselves that they are worthy of the name Young Avengers. Like I said, each one of them has a secret. Each one of these characters could be related to a past Avenger, or a former Avenger, or a current Avenger. You can find out for yourself. The only one I really wanted to dive into is the character of Iron Lad, because I feel like that's important, and people are going to be wondering, where the heck is that character? Why does he look so different? Why does he look like Vision later on? But oh my gosh, this series just blew me away with just how much of the characters' backgrounds and histories, not these characters, but the actual original Avengers and villains, that Heinberg had to get familiar with. And I don't know if he had been a fan of the Avengers in the past or not, but after the huge fight with Kang, and after Captain America does not approve of them, they change their costumes up a little bit and become the Young Avengers. Oh, yes. Now, believe it or not, I've just been talking about issues 1 through 6 of this new team, but I really like this book. Then we move on to issue 7 and 8, which has fill-in art by Andre DeVito. Again, Alan Heinberg supplying the story in here, and this is more to do with their personal lives, like their parents or their adoptive parents or the people that are raising them, and how they're dealing with their family and their superhero side of things. I thought these 2 issues were excellent. These are my kind of issues. We do have the Young Avengers special here, drawn by different artists, including Neil Adams and Jay Lee, just to name a few of the artists in here. It's another one that features mainly Jessica Jones investigating these characters. And then we kick it back up with Young Avengers #9. Now, for those of us that had been reading these issues monthly, there were a lot of delays. A lot of delays. That's why they had to release that special in between. Now, during this particular story arc, the Skrull come in and start attacking one of the characters. So the Young Avengers need help. And again, with Vision, this younger looking Vision, why is he young? Well, you can find out for yourself. Need to go and recruit some new characters. So one of the characters they recruit is this guy right here. This is Tommy. And he is a character that will be known as Speed. And both him and Wiccan are related, and you can find out who they are related to. It's one of the biggest mysteries in Young Avengers. As all these characters have some great backgrounds, though. Like Patriot right here, who he's related to. I think it's excellent. And of course, the artwork by Jim Cheung. So yes, the Avengers get called into action to help the Young Avengers out to fight off this Skrull invasion, which there will be a bigger one later on, along with the new team member Speed. And that kicks us off into a brand new era of the Young Avengers. Now, sadly, there was no monthly series featuring these characters. I don't know why. I don't know if they were waiting for Alan Heinberg to come back. So instead, we started getting a bunch of miniseries that featured these characters. So this is the Civil War, Young Avengers and Runaways. It's a 4-issue miniseries. You have the artwork in here by Stefano Caselli, and this is written by Zeb Wells. And it's pretty much is all about the Superhero Registration Act. The Young Avengers are on Captain America's side, and they team up with the Runaways. Well, at first there's a huge fight, of course, because they don't agree on things. But this is the way we were getting Young Avengers. We were getting it through a series of little mini-series. Then we get what I love that they put in here, and that is the Young Avengers Presents. So this series was originally not going to be collected in this omnibus, but as soon as I saw the contents of the book, I was like, oh, it would be great to have Young Avengers Presents in there, because that's only been collected in trade paperback. I feel like it won't belong in another omnibus, so I'm glad that they put it here. And this is just a series of one-shot stories that feature all of the characters of the Young Avengers. So you have a story that features Patriot, and this one's drawn by Paco Medina, and you have a story here featuring Hulkling. And I do have to say that during this time, too, we had a Captain Marvel, and that's who he visits right here. But is it really Captain Marvel? It's not discussed here, unfortunately. And it's just one of those stories that I think at first, during Civil War, it was supposed to be a huge return. And then later on, there's a sad revelation. But anyway, that might get a little bit confusing if you weren't reading everything else in the Marvel Universe. That during that time, we do have a new Captain Marvel fully returned. And then, well, you can find out for yourself what ends up happening to that character. Then we get this one-shot right here of Young Avengers Presents, and this is the story of Wiccan and Speed, and they're investigating their past. What exactly are they? Who are they? Most of us had guessed that were reading it at the time, but I still think confirmation was excellent. Then we have the story of Cassie here with Vision. Actually, this is the story of just Vision and what he's been doing, this young Vision. He's always had a thing for Cassie. And then we actually get her one shot, how she's dealing with all her personal trauma back at home. And Hawkeye. This one has been collected before, drawn by Alan Davis. This one has been collected in is it the Hawkeye Omnibus, I think? Most of the series were written by different people. Ed Brubaker, Brian Reed, Roberto Aguirre Sacasa, and Paul Cornell, Kevin Gravel, and then Matt Fraction. This one is collected in the Omnibus. Gotta just remember, because it is written by Matt Fraction. Then we have the Young Avengers and Runaways back together again for the Secret Invasion. This one written by Chris Yost, who went on to do movies like Thor Ragnarok, but also co-created characters like X-23, and is no stranger to comics. So during Secret Invasion, the Runaways and the Young Avengers team up because both of them are affected by the big Skrull War. Both of them could have members on their team that are hugely related to the Skrulls. Maybe. And then we have one of my favorite, most underrated series right here. This is Young Avengers Dark Reign. This is a 5-issue miniseries that is written by Paul Cornell, Mark Brooks, who rarely does internal artwork, especially these days. He's mainly sticking to covers. But we are introduced to the concept of a brand new Young Avengers. And that's all because of Norman Osborn. After the events of Secret Invasion, Norman steps up and becomes kind of like this new leader for the Marvel Universe. So they kind of shove Tony off to the side, and Norman Osborn starts his new Thunderbolts. He starts his Dark Avengers initiative, and he makes a new team of Young Avengers. Or has his blessing, rather. But the team is made up of the Executioner, the Enchantress, the Melter, Egghead, Big Zero, and what is that guy's name? Coat of Arms. So that's not our Young Avengers. What the heck? The hell are these guys? And that's when the Young Avengers get involved. And so it's this huge fight against these fake Young Avengers. And this is the one-shot of Siege. This actually takes place after the big, huge battle in the story arc of Siege. And just features our characters kind of tying up loose ends. Then we move on to Uncanny X-Men 526. Now, Uncanny X-Men 526, to me, always set the stage for what is the Children's Crusade. I think it sets it up so good because there's a lot of conversations here between Magneto and Cyclops. This one written by Matt Fraction, drawn by the legendary Olivier Coipel. I love his artwork. And then we go to the thing that people were anticipating. The return of Alan Heinberg and Jim Cheung back to tell a Young Avengers story. It took a while, though. I'm not going to lie. It took a long time for this book to come out. Because remember when I said Young Avengers was right after the Avengers Disassemble? That was back in 2005. This came out in 2010, 2011, and there were some delays in between some issues. But it was finally here. Finally, we were going to get some answers. Finally, we were going to tie some loose ends up. All the little plot holes that Alan Heinberg started at the beginning with his initial run, the first 6 issues, everything is answered here. There are some things that change, not just for the Young Avengers, but for mutant kind. Like I said, there's a reason why I think this is actually a follow-up to not just Young Avengers 1 through 12, but House of M. So if you're familiar with the story of House of M, something happens, something huge happens to mutant kind. Well, whenever you have the return of one particular character, you know things are not going to be the same. So, yes, if you've not read this, strongly recommend it, especially if you're a fan of the Young Avengers or House of M. Especially if you're a fan of House of M and what it did to mutant kind. But I can't talk about this series more without going into spoilers, but I just wanted you to check out this amazing artwork by Jim Cheung. Everybody gets involved in this. This is a huge event, and it also has the Avengers, the Children's Crusade, Young Avengers one-shot. This one drawn by the phenomenal and legendary, needs no introduction, Alan Davis. So let's look here. There is one thing that's collected in here, and it only has 2 pages, and that is material from the Empire Aftermath Avengers. I strongly recommend, don't even flip to the back here, because they're the last 2 pages that are collected here with a cover, and I think a variant cover. This is all stuff from the director's cut. It was a issue that was released, it was a single issue that came out while we waited on more Young Avengers. There's an interview with Alan Heinberg. But yes, Empire will spoil a lot of things, so that's the last thing you want to read, which is also why they kept it here in the back. And it's also important, I think, to actually read the Empire event. I mean, I guess you don't have to, but I strongly recommend it, so you can judge it for yourself, because I know people are torn about it. Some really like it, some hate it, some are just like, it was an event. These, I love the original character designs, like how Wiccan was going to look, how Teddy was going to look over here as the Hulkling, Cassie and Tommy right there, Billy. And then you have Marvel Spotlight on Jim Cheung, who to this day is still drawing comics. I think he's over at DC these days more. Yes, his run on X-Force. His run on Maverick. Where's that collection? How do we not have Maverick? He is a phenomenal, amazing storyteller. Oh my gosh, one day can we get Scion in some kind of oversized hardcover format. Fantasy, Ron Mars, oh my gosh, yes. And here's some more of Here's some more of Jim Cheung's Spotlight, talking about individual characters, his first published work. And then, of course, yes, behind-the-scenes sketches, original artwork. This thing has a lot. The toys. Oh, yes. I remember this. I was not excited for Young Avengers. I was one of those people that like, Marvel doesn't do sidekicks. There's a reason why Marvel and DC are different. Damn, I bit my tongue. This is Lionel Francis Yu. It's an unused cover pencils. Oh yes, the connecting covers. I'm so glad they collected these all the way back here. And I'm not going to go through all of this, but just showcasing. Oh my goodness. Scarlet Witch got cake, baby. Kang the Conqueror, complete history. Yes, you can find out exactly how he has ties to Iron Lad. Now, let's talk about the binding. The book has 1,080 pages. It is printed at the iMac printer. And this one doesn't have as thick a paper as the Conan book that I did an overview of, the volume 8. But it's thicker than the JMS Spider-Man and the Kurt Busiek Conan Omnibus. But I did want to point that out. It's a little thicker than that. Not as thick as the Black Panther early years either. So, sorry, I've been reading these books left and right. I'm trying to remember which one had the thicker paper. But let me just show you how some of the art can be seen from the other page. Right here. And again, I have both of my big lights focusing on the book so there's less shadows around, except on my hands, just to showcase the art better. But not everybody's going to have the same reading conditions. Anyway, I know that bothers some people, doesn't bother others, but I did want to point it out. That, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing this book, don't forget to check out our sponsors. CheapGraphicNovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget that CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. If you live in Europe and are interested in buying and pre-ordering Omnis, then you should definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices for Marvel and DC books within the EU, flat rate shipping of €12 for all EU countries, bulletproof packaging, and all emails will be answered within 24 hours. They offer a huge selection of out-of-print books. Just head over to waltzcomicshop.com for more great deals and rare titles. And for a limited time, you can use the code NEARMINTCONDITION, all one word at the checkout, to get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order of over €40. Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for Omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. That was the content, the page count, and build of this omnibus. Let me know in the comments down below if you plan on picking this up, if you already have the 2 OHCs, if you have the trade paperbacks, if you've read any of this, if you're going into this completely blind. If you like the Kieran Gillen run more than this, I always like to know these questions, like which run do you prefer? But anyway, leave your comments down below, questions down below. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications to let you know when our videos are going live. We are on Spreadshop and Patreon. Amazing ways to support the channel if you can do so. But more importantly, all of you stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.